So I want to go over a complete setup and breakdown of the barbell sumo deadlift. And this is kind of the sister variation to a conventional deadlift where instead of our feet together, we're going to have our feet out wider than our hands when we set up. And it tends to allow you to have a taller torso position as well as to utilize your glutes, your hips, and your legs a little bit more than the conventional deadlift does. So first thing I want to get out of the way, there's a big misconception or people are worried about a sumo deadlift because they think they have to go super, super wide. For the purpose of this, what I want you guys to know is that your sumo deadlift is going to be any stance where your feet are wider than your hand position, and your hand position is always going to remain the same, which is right at about shoulder width. Okay, so if I have Dan set up here, we're going to start off showing a little bit more of a narrow sumo position. Okay, so for this, Dan's going to set up, if not touching within an inch of the bar. Okay, his feet are just outside shoulder width, and what you can see is his feet aren't all that wide, but they're wide enough that his knees are out of the way of his shoulders. Okay, so just like a conventional deadlift, he's pushed his hips back to the wall behind him. We're also going to pull our chest up tall to get a nice tight position, and then he's just going to push through the ground and come up. Good, go right back down. So in a conventional deadlift, we talk a little bit about how you don't necessarily have to have your shins perfectly vertical, right? A little bit of a forward knee angle is okay, and it might work better for some body types. Well, in the sumo deadlift, I do want you guys to try and keep a near vertical shin, okay? From this position, rather than substituting with any sort of forward knee, what you'll see is that as Dan pushes his hips back, his knees go out so that his knees track in the same line as his toes, okay? So as he goes a little bit wider now in the stance, you see that his knees continue to push out, right? His toes are pushed out, and as he pulls his chest up, he gets into a good position that he can push off the ground from. Good. Okay. Now, I won't make him demo this because this doesn't always work with everybody's body type, but again, you'd see that the wider and wider you go with your stance, the less you have to sit your hips back and the more vertical you're able to keep your chest. And then the rest of the things remain the same as they are for other hinge variations where we keep even foot pressure and we push through the ground to come nice and tall. Okay? If we show the sumo from the side, so we're going to swing this bar around, and we have Dan go to kind of his natural sumo stance setup here, right? Where his feet are well outside shoulder width, but not so wide that he's uncomfortable. You'll see that he's able to set up right against the bar, okay? And as he pushes his hips back, he stays in this vertical shin position, and he's not really gonna deviate from that, okay? Even as he goes to pull himself tall and he holds right here, shins stay pretty vertical, and now, different than the conventional deadlift where you have your armpits a little bit over the bar, he's actually going to get to a position where his shoulders are almost a little bit over the bar, okay? This is a product of the hip position he's got and being able to get his chest a little bit taller, right? So that now he's in the spot where as he pushes through the ground, everything's going to move up together and he finishes in the same position we would for a conventional deadlift or anything else where his eyes are up, his chest is tall, but it's not arched, and we've got a good position. We've got a good position here between his hips and his rib cage, all right?